Hello, welcome to Engineer's Mindset. So still on differentiation of inverse three functions, let's say we have y to be equal to cos inverse of exponential 5x all squared, and we are asked to find the y all over the x. So as usual, I will simply say let u be equal to exponential 5x squared. Doesn't matter, I'll be using a in the previous videos. Doesn't matter which alphabet you choose, it's still just know your rules and maintain your rules. You're still going to be correct. But I'll simply say let u be equal to exponential 5x squared. So this actually implies that y itself now is what? The cos inverse of u, because I'm now replacing exponential 5x squared by simply what? U. So this becomes cos inverse of u. Now, having established this now, it now implies that y itself is now what? A function of u. So y now depends on u. And if y is a function of u, like I've always been saying, it means now I can find the y all over the u. Simply, I can differentiate y with respect to u. Also, from here now, I have that u is now what? A function of what? X, because u here depends on the variable x to be defined. So u now is a function of x, and if u is a function of x, it means I cannot find u, differentiate u with respect to x. So this is actually what? Function of a function, like I keep explaining. Since y is a function of u and u is a function of x, is called function of a function. And I said the only rule which we can use to differentiate function of a function is simply the chain rule, of course. And the chain rule actually arises from where? Multiplying these two derivatives together, that will give me the y dx. So therefore, the y dx, okay, is simply what? Multiply these two derivatives, the y du by du all over the x. So I can have here the y, the u cancels the u, I have the y into the x, and that's simply off. So that will give me the y dx, which is actually what I'm looking for. Okay, so all I need to do now is what? From y equal to cos inverse of u, find the y du, and from u equal to exponential 5x squared, find the u dx. So let's do that now and see. From y equals cos inverse of u. Okay, from y equals cos inverse of u, I can find the y all over the u, and that will simply give me, of course. So please look up the series on inverse three function differentiation to understand how we are going to differentiate this. Okay, but the y du, if y is equal to cos inverse of u, will simply give me minus 1 all over square root of 1 minus u all squared. It will give me this. This derivative will actually give me this. Okay, but recall that u is actually what? Exponential. We said let u be exponential 5x squared. So but u is actually exponential 5x all squared. So this actually implies that the y all over the u is now equal to minus 1 all over the square root into 1 minus exponential 5x squared all squared. Okay, and therefore the y du is now minus 1 all over square root, of course, 1 minus, of course, if I take the square of these terms inside, I will simply have exponential. The square of 5 is actually 5 times 5, which is actually 25. So I have 25x, and here I have x squared. Okay, so this square times 2 simply gives me 4. So this gives me that derivative, the y, the u is actually equal to this. Alright, so having obtained the y du, next is to find the u, the x from the formula. Find the u, the x. So from u equals exponential 5x squared, the u, differentiating u with respect to x. Also, please look up shortcut approach on differentiation of exponential function from my channel, please look up my shortcut methods to differentiation. You're going to properly understand how to differentiate exponential function. Okay, so to differentiate an exponential function from shortcut, I said you'd first of all differentiate the power. Use that derivative to multiply the exponential function itself. The power of this exponential function is 5x squared. If I differentiate 5x squared, obviously I'm differentiating x squared, so I will simply have 10x. If I differentiate 5x squared, I will simply have what? 10x. Use this derivative now to multiply the exponential function itself, 5x squared. This gives me du dx. Okay, simply differentiate the power, use that derivative to multiply the exponential function. That gives you the derivative of, that's how to differentiate an exponential function. So if I have du dx, I have dy du, I can now employ the chain rule which says dy dx is actually dy du times du dx. So if I do this now, I'm simply going to have that dy dx is now equal to dy du. We obtain that to be simply this, minus 1 all over the square root of 1 minus exponential 25x4, okay, multiplies by du dx, and that's simply 10x exponential 5x. So you have 10x exponential 5x all squared. Okay, so we can simply find out that dy all over the x is now equal to, of course, the whole of this variable multiplies minus 1, simply gives us minus 10x exponential 5x all squared all over the square root of 1 minus exponential 25x to the power of 4. All right, guys, so that becomes the answer to that derivative. Okay, so I hope you find this video very interesting and helpful. Please, if you do, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button to keep getting updates on contents like this. I will see you in the next video with more problems on differentiation of inverse trigonometric functions. Thanks, guys, and cheers.